It's wild because I mean this was like a whole it's like 2 years from like the start of this movie.
All right. We are going to get things kicked off. If you're grabbing food, no worries. But yeah, thank you all for coming. First Lunch and Learn of 2026. We got a good audience. We got a great speaker. Thank you all for coming. As usual, how many of you all have never been to an NEC before? We're still curious what we do. All right, we got one. Always two. I always love to see at least a couple hands. My name is Trevor McCoy. I'm the community manager here at the EC. So if you want to learn more about what we do, just before that, I want to explain a little bit what we do. So here at the EC, we want to make Nashville the best place to start and grow your business by increasing the likelihood of success for entrepreneurs. So how many of y'all are entrepreneurs? Hopefully just about everyone. So yes, we do that in a couple different ways. We have our membership that provide resources to over 170 plus advisors. If you're an advisor in the room, please raise your hand. Right. Can I get a round of applause for our advisors here? We truly can't do what we do without them. They are so supportive to the entrepreneur community. Very grateful for them. There's also startup curriculum, co-working space, meeting room space, and so much more. Please come talk to me if you're interested in those membership resources. We'd love to give you a tour. We also have accelerator programs. Unfortunately, those applications for the spring cohort have closed. But we have, these programs are for those within a different certain business stage or industry. So we have takeoff for the early stages of your launch, in-flight for those at the growing and scaling stage, and industry specific is going to be project healthcare. Once again, if you're curious about any of these resources, please come talk to me. And a couple of different announcements before we hop into today's Lunch and Learn. Just want to say thank you to our community partner, CommSpaces. They provide secure, reliable IT. And then our growth partners. So we have Baker Donaldson for legal, CLA for accounting, Nashville Area Chamber of Commerce for community, RJ Young for tech, and then Pinnacle for banking. We also have our supporting partners. Now, for all of our partners, they make what we do possible. I'm not going to read everyone off on this list, but as you can see, but we do have Nate Underwood back in the back. Give it up for Nate. He is with Harding House Brewing. He's one of our happy hour partners as well, so I'm very thankful for Nate and thank you for being here. Launch Tennessee. So they're heavily involved with all the different ECs in Tennessee. So if you want to learn more about how you can learn about the resources they provide throughout the entire state, you can scan this QR code here. They specialize in things like connections, commercialization, and capital. Speaking of capital, they also have Invest In. So if you're looking for funding, capital, this is a non-dilutive investment. Scan this QR code, you can learn more about it. They'll do a lot better explaining than I can do. And without further ado, let's hop into today's Lunch and Learn. We have a great speaker, Amy Good, with the iCandy Creative. She's the VP of Client Strategy there, but also an ADC advisor. Get up for Amy.
Thank you so much. All right, so thank you all for coming today. What a great turnout for the first Lunch and Learn of this year. I can't believe it's 2026. I am Amy Good, like he said. I joined iCandy as a partner about a little over 2 years ago, maybe about 2 years and 3 months ago. And to be honest, I didn't really want to do an entrepreneurship thing, and it's been really great to be part of this community and to learn about everything that everyone's been doing and to try to see ways that I can also give back. So when Trey reached out to me with this kind of topic, I was like, yes, great. Everyone wants a great strategic marketing plan. That sounds like a great idea. And as I was putting together this deck and creating my presentation, I realized it's not as easy as we think. So that's probably why you all are here, right? It's not like, the problem with that is a lot of things. One is there's just so many different things when it comes to marketing. You know, I was talking to this nice lady right here, and she was saying everyone has a different opinion about what marketing is and different expectations. So there are so many different avenues and so much noise out there. In fact, there's a lot of people who are selling you things like, I can get you so many views, and I can get you so many sales and this ROI, and it's going to cost this much, or whatever that case may be. So that can often be very misleading, or you are jumping on the wrong thing that may help somebody else but may not be able to help you. So there is a lot of that kind of noise out there. The other reason why is because it's just like, this feels like a lot to do, right? Like, there's so many different things. How would I have time to do it all? And to be honest, right now, if you're a founder, you do kind of have to start by doing some of this stuff yourself. It's when you start to grow and you're like, I can't possibly do this and what I'm really good at in my job. Just the same as like accounting or human resources. You don't want to have to be doing that in your day-to-day as a founder later on. So the reason why that this is especially important, or why it becomes so confusing, is because many people don't start with just the basics, okay? I know this is going to sound really dumb because you probably know exactly who you are. But as we go through some of these slides, you may not have written it down, you may not have thought about the different things about who you are as a company, and it's really important to define who you are. At iCandy, we work with all different kinds of businesses, and you might fall into one or more of these categories, right? We work with nonprofits here in Nashville. We work with small businesses. I have big, huge construction companies like Caterpillar dealerships and, maintenance right of way on railroads. We've got people who are doing, like tech businesses. We've got, there's all have different things, and they're all different. And the reason why I'm starting with this is you all are different. And that's why I can't come through here in this workshop and say, oh, this is what your marketing strategy is going to be, right? Because your marketing strategy and your marketing strategy and your marketing strategy, they're all a little bit different, okay? So this is to say, who are you, all right? Is anybody in here a personal brand? Moose, why are you a personal brand?
I make candied bacon.
Okay.
So I just kind of put my face to it.
Okay, so you have the Moose brand, and you have your candied bacon brand, and you are kind of the representative for your company, right? So you are a startup, and you are a personal brand, and you need to attempt to appease both of those things, right? You're always going to be your representative. So you may have to do a lot of stuff on social media, you have to put yourself out there more, that kind of thing. Okay, back here. You had your hand up for the personal brand, right?
Podcast host.
Okay, so when you have a service company, you are the person doing the services oftentimes, right? You are the brand. In some ways, I'm the brand for my company, right? I'm up here, I'm talking, and I'm sharing information about iCandy. So I have to think about how I am strategically looking at the different angles for my personal company. Okay, so if you were here, I don't know what it was, like 3 months ago, I did a whole thing about the anatomy of a brand. And this is kind of, oh, by the way, I will be sending you, there's a QR code at the end because there's a lot of information on here, and you can download my whole presentation and a worksheet to get you through. This is where people don't start. And this is really important. A lot of times people are like, it's a brand. And yes, I was talking to someone, I was like, your colors may change, your logo may change, but who you are and what you are about, and not you, but like your company, needs to make sure that you have consistency. And that means you have to write it down. When I first joined iCandy, the reason why I didn't want to do it is because there were partnerships that I had seen throughout my career that didn't work well. They didn't get along or whatever. I had marketing agencies that didn't have the right direction, the leadership. There was, I didn't feel like they were doing a good service to their clients, oftentimes selling stuff that those clients didn't really need. So the first thing I did with my business partner, I said, we need to write down our mission. We need to write down our values. We need to write down who we are. We don't want to be like everybody else. We don't want to be like every single other agency out there, because if you are just doing what everybody else is doing, why should someone pick you, right? So it's really important that before you see, I'm sure all of you guys thought, I want Amy to come up with a one ringer that's going to get me through all these customers and stuff. But if you haven't done this yet, raise your hand if you've done your branding. Okay, so we have a good mix. Great. Do you have all of these things written down somewhere. You can hand them off to a marketing agency. You can hang out when you hire someone. You can hand it off so that they're talking about your company the way you talk about your company, right? I worked for a company for 10 years, and I wasn't in the marketing department, and we were all across the country. We had all these people, and they were all making their own flyers and their own messaging and their own stuff. Not only did that take a long time, it was disjointed. We didn't feel like the same company. So it's really important so that you're going to be able to use this for all of your other marketing stuff. All right, so let's talk about some brands that kind of lose focus over the years. One of them, think about the reasons why we've lost focus. Blockbuster. Blockbuster thought Netflix was crazy when they first started mailing out DVDs to people, and especially when they started going into their digital platform. They did not think that they thought everybody was going to continue to use their DVDs and they were never going to have to change. And we learned that Blockbuster failed because they didn't evolve. It's not what they were giving. They were giving this, movie experience, and they could have kept with that and kept with their logo and everything. It's that they didn't evolve with the times. WeWork was very confusing. Okay, WeWork it was like a work from an area. Then they started to do some residential things. They even did some educational things with buying up some preschool companies, things like that. So they struggled. They started to brand different things. They had, co-living situation. It got convoluted and they struggled. MTV was bought by Paramount at some point, but MTV ran against itself with VH1. VH1 was supposed to be this music videos for an older crowd kind of thing, and they were competing against themselves. They started to do a lot of different things with, and it wasn't bad. They did reality TV shows, but they never really went online, and YouTube ended up taking over. People don't watch music videos on TV and wait for them. They just go to YouTube and watch the music videos. And then Yahoo. Yahoo is interesting because Yahoo actually had the opportunity to buy Google several times, and they didn't. So they did not also, they got behind the ball, and they tried to do too many repositioning. They had a portal, they had media, they were all over the place, search, tech platform. They changed direction so much that they became irrelevant. So this is where you need to avoid these mistakes, right? You need to make sure that your messaging is consistent. You need to make sure that you're not just trying to be that, you go to a restaurant and you have a menu with 50,000 different things and you don't know exactly what that person does or what that restaurant sells, and it gets overwhelming. You got to make sure that you are defining who you are. You have to make sure that your tone and all of that is consistent and you're not changing your messaging every week. You don't want to be exactly like everybody else, right? That's why we at iCandy, we're gonna be fun and playful and do all the things differently than what we've used in the past with different marketing companies. And you got to make sure that you're showing how you're bringing something different to the table. There's a lot of people who say a lot of things but don't say anything at all. I bet you know those people. And then you have those people like we talked about that don't evolve with time. Now you can keep your branding and you can keep your mission and stuff, but you do need to keep up with the new things. Kodak, they actually created the digital picture, but then they never embraced it, and then they basically out-engineered themselves because they never used the thing that they invented. All right. So, any questions about the previous section about laying down your foundations? You all seem I don't know. Let me know if you ever have a question in the middle. You can ask me. Okay, so knowing your target market. So we got to meet your audience where they are. Okay, your audience may be different than who you think they are. There's a lot of different kinds of people in your audience that may be overlooked. For instance, you all are looking for customers, right? You have current customers, and then you have prospects. They are different, and you have to think about how they're coming to your website or to your social media, and how they are going to relate. Then some of you all have investors. You're not even to the customer stage yet. You might define what you're doing, and you're trying to get your investors to understand what's important, what the values are, but your audience is these investors because you want to try to get them to invest in your company. So you need to make sure that your decks and everything that you're doing is showing the momentum. Then you have your people that you partner with. So I chose the EC because it became a really good avenue for me to talk to people in this space, to be able to show up over and over and over again. They help to promote me, I help to promote them. It becomes a good relationship. Partners can be a lot of different things. I met Debbie Garcia here. She has a platform called Versator. I don't know if you guys have heard about that. And she is basically funding it herself. So in order to help her, we're helping to improve and build on her platform. And in return, once we start selling some money, we'll be able to get recoup that investment. So partners are important as well. And then the community. You all are my community. I see a lot of friendly faces in here that I've known many, years and have come out for different events. So your community are the people who are building you up and talking about you and liking your things and all of that. So you got to know your core audiences. But then we want to think there are not just those core audiences, especially when you have a buyer. There are different kinds of people in the buying thing. Now, you have a primary buyer often. So if I build a website, I have the person I'm trying to sell it to, right? Or I'm trying to sell them a website. I'm trying to sell them branding. But those aren't the people who are actually going to see the website and see the branding. It's their customers that are going to be using the product. So you may have to think about who is the actual person who's going to be using that. I might have someone who is influencing a purchase. That's an important person. They need to know information. They need to know why. They have to care about me and my company and what I'm standing for. And then I also have to engage with my repeat customers. So I have to have those avenues for people to get more information and to see more of the services that we provide. So you have to think about all of these and how they go with yours. Complicated enough already? That's why I say it's not always easy. It's about figuring out first who these people are and where you're going to meet them. You're also going to have some of these different, this is kind of good for those early stage people. You're going to have different people who are champions for you. Sometimes you have a new product and they're like, yes. Someone saw her product online and that she was like, I want to write a news article about this, right? Because she believed in what your thing is. She knows that you're not out there selling it right now, but she cares about what you're doing and wants to support you. You're also going to have the value seeker person who's like, I want to know how is this going to benefit me? Is this going to help me at all? So you're going to want to write a deck that might be different for that person who wants to know what are the benefits? How is this going to help me? You're also going to have people who are skeptical, and you're also going to have the loyalists who already knows your product and loves it, and maybe they can help with creating testimonials and stuff. So I know this is a lot because you all sometimes get into the habit of doing the same messaging over and over and thinking that it doesn't work. Have you ever had that problem or wondering why it doesn't work? I'm putting stuff out there in the world and nothing's happening and I'm not hearing it. It might be because you're not speaking to the right people. It might be because you're not speaking in their language that they're what they are looking for. And so it's really important to figure out who those people are and what they're looking for in order to craft your messaging. And oftentimes we'll do a whole matrix with this person and how we talk to them, and this person and how we talk to them, and it's a whole spreadsheet with each different kinds of each individual kind of persona and user. All right, so now we've got thinking about business to B2B sales. This is always kind of it goes hand in hand with sales. Marketing goes hand in hand. Our job in marketing is often to create things for the sales team to use in order to get that kind of buy-in. This person is usually the person you first start with. It's the champion. Oh, I can use the little dotty thing. The champion. The champion is someone who you met somewhere and they're like, yes, that is the thing that I need. I know my company needs this. This is what we're going to do, okay? They're like, great. They bring it to the gatekeeper. And the gatekeeper's like, I don't know, stop, you're bringing me something I've never heard of before, and I'm not sure about that. I'm gonna have to learn a little bit more. And learn a little bit more, you may think, oh, that's a sales thing, but I'm the one who builds most of the decks for the sales teams. So I need to make sure that how it's rolling is going to be for that person and that special audience. Because that gatekeeper isn't going to bring it to the decision maker. If you get stuck at the gatekeeper, you're never gonna make it, and you're never gonna get that sale. All right, so these are often overlooked audiences. You will at some point grow your company, and you will need to think about how you're talking to your team members and your sales team. Your team members are going to be stuff like the culture, it's going to be like the hiring, it's going to be like who you are, again, goes back into those people, okay? So a lot of people forget about that, but it is really important because those are the people that are also you're attracting to work for you, and they're going to exude who you are. If Moose comes in and she finds someone who's not fitting the right persona and representing his company in maybe not that fun, like opening, welcoming way, and is maybe closed off, and it wouldn't showcase who your brand is, right? Right? So you've got to make sure that you are bringing in the right people, and by bringing in the right people, again, that goes to messaging. So the other people are the sales team. You have to get them bought in. We were talking before about how marketing and sales kind of go like, oh, you're not getting enough people in the funnel, and we're like, oh, you're not like converting them. But actually, we all need to work together because marketing is sales. All right? Sales is marketing. You are working together. So figuring out what are the questions that those people have out there, if they have customers and I'm having a meeting, what are my questions? What are they most concerned about? Then I can write the marketing strategy, and I can write the words that are going to resonate with those people. What is making them not convert? If they're getting a bunch of leads and they're not converting, why? Okay? And we need to make sure that we're crafting that. We have, copywriters, and we purposely write words that are going to work for these different audience members.
I have a couple of questions.
Great.
Yeah. So the last slide.
Yep.
Would it not go on slide 16, where you were listing, if you could go back to 16? Yeah, here. I was thinking employees would basically come here. They are correlate audience.
Yeah, I agree. I probably should have done that. And we have a investment acquisition company that is one of our clients, and one of their core audiences, even though it's not a customer, is the family. So the family that owns the investment company that passes it down over generations is one of the marketing team's core audiences, because they want to make sure that they're seen and they have trust in the marketing team, they have trust in the company, and that they are continuing their mission and values without like diluting it. So that is another audience that they thought about that I didn't even think about. But you're right, I should probably put employees here.
The other question is regarding positioning.
Mm-hmm.
Where would that fit in? It's a core element of marketing. So I don't know whether you have it written down.
So the positioning for, I'm sorry, what was the question again?
Positioning.
Yes.
Positioning in itself is basically occupying a particular spot in a customer's mind.
Yes. Yes.
So
Yes.
everything is kind of based on that.
Yes. So his question is, how does positioning fit into this, and how? And I didn't go into great detail because each person would have their own positioning, but we can talk a little bit about that. You're looking at these and you're saying, okay, how do you get in the mind of what the investor wants? And there's a lot of Entrepreneur Center presentations about what investors want to see and what they want to hear. They are very different than what potential prospects who don't know anything about your company and it's their first introduction to you. And so, yes, you have to think about what is in their mind and how you're going to position your organization, your business into what they are needing. How are you going to solve their problems? Correct. Yeah. Thank you. Was there any other questions? Okay. And that's why I'm talking about this, because I feel like a lot of times when we think about marketing, we forget about what the most important things are. And the most important things is your messaging. And it's great to have all the razzle dazzle. It's great to have the colors. It's great to have the logo. It's great to have all those stuff. But if you don't have who you are, why was someone going to buy it? I wouldn't buy from somebody if I don't know exactly what they're doing and who they are and who I'm working with and why I need them. All right. So now we'll get to the fun part, right? This is the tools part. Choose your tools. So yes, you have to have some tools in order to do your marketing strategy. And I would say that this is one of the things that when you first start out is to go ahead and choose your tools. I've heard so many founders tell me, Amy, I'm not big enough to start with a CRM and like to have a huge website and to do all this stuff. And I'm like, you don't have to have a huge website. And you don't have to pay money for HubSpot. They have a free version. I use the free version of HubSpot for my company. And I use MailChimp to email stuff, okay? Because MailChimp is cheap and I can integrate the two. And great thing is, you give me your business card on my phone, on HubSpot, I can just scan that business card and it goes straight into my CRM and then you're ready to go. I can send you my newsletter or whatever I'm gonna send. And even if you're not sending anything yet, you collecting that stuff along the way so that when you are ready and you have enough audience members, you will be able to use those tools. This is the foundation. If you haven't started, or you're just beginning, make sure that you do these things. Okay, so you're going to need some kind of, at least a landing page. You're going to need some kind of way to collect information and organize and store your contacts. I recommend figuring out what you're tagging them to. So if you have different kinds of audiences, like we talked about, we're going to say, oh, this person is a current customer. This person came in from this conference. This person, how do they come in the door, right? How do they find out about you? Because that's going to tell you a lot. And later on, when you're creating messaging, you might start with just one simple message to everyone. And then you're like, I'm going to break this out into 2 messages from everyone. And now I'm having a marketing automation plan. And that's farther down the line. This is the beginning. Yes?
With the capturing, there's like a Google things that we like a statement, Google capture.
Yeah, good question. He's asking whether or not you should have some kind of like agreement buy-in thing, right? Yes, absolutely. If you go to any place where you're having a landing page or newsletter, it should always have kind of an opt-in, like you're opting into this kind of thing. And I have a client right now that Dan is a mentor to, and I said, well, do you have an email list? And he goes, no. And I go, well, how do people pay you? And he's like, QuickBooks. I'm like, do you have their contact information in QuickBooks? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, great. We can pull that in. Now, they haven't opted in, right? So I can go and send them an email and say, hey, listen, we're going to go through a rebrand, and we're working on our messaging because we are a different company than when we first started. When we first started, we were just doing small, like 3D printing stuff, and now we're doing huge, large-scale installations. Would you like to see about these really cool products that we do? And they're pretty badass to see, And then they can opt in on that moment. So sometimes you send them a warmer email if you have not yet gotten their permission. Great question. So we want to make sure that we're giving them the clear steps. Yes?
To follow up on that, I noticed recently talking to some folks who are in businesses I've not engaged with, and so like we'll be corresponding, like you shoot me an email, and here's my email, we'll connect on LinkedIn, and then like a couple days later, I'm on their listserv, I'm on their email list, when I never signed up for it.
Yeah.
And so my question is really more philosophical from a marketing perspective, like is this a practice now? Because to your point, like you're able to take a picture of a business card and then that gets into your CRM, and obviously like you would know to tag them in some way, but like this is a colleague of mine, and now I'm getting the emails for a company that I don't care about the company.
Generally, they say that if you are handing someone your information and you're a colleague and you're like basically handing them this stuff, then they have this unwritten permission that they can use your information.
Yeah. And to me, because I've thought about that even from my own business development perspective, because like obviously I'm reaching out to people, but I don't want to assume that just because they responded to me, that I somehow want to get bombarded by like promotional emails on a frequent basis. But like that's what it's.
Did you say you responded to their email? You didn't like hand them a business card, or you just?
Yeah, like it's a person that I know who's moved to another company, and and now I'm clearly in their sales funnel.
Got it.
With typical email communications, and it was something that I was like, could I do that? And I was like, I don't think I like that. And then now that I'm on the recipient end, I'm like, I don't think I like this.
Yeah, and that's part of your, like, if it turns you off, it might turn off somebody else too, right? Like, they may not want to work with you if they're automatically put in that. You know, they may be like, now I'm kind of turned off by that.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah, and my relationship with the person doesn't change, but it's sort of like, the question I generally have is like, has something shifted, because now it seems like it's happening more often when I'm engaging with other people, that I'm now getting into their sales funnel, even though I've never really said, yes, please send me an email.
I think it's just so much stuff out there that no one's really like enforcing any of that stuff, right? So people feel like they can do that, but I think to your point is that it doesn't always sit well with the person on the other end. So you have to be cautious of that. That's why I say send the warmer email, you know, hey, I'm gonna be doing this, please opt in, rather than, and you can do that even like, let's say I get your card today or whatever, I could automate that to be like, hey, it was so nice to meet you, and have almost like a generic thing. If you would like to hear from me in the future about projects that we're doing or some other marketing tips, please opt in. And that way I'm getting permission. So, yeah.
So just to follow up on that, I mean, I think we all get the ick from that, right? We all
Right.
just start getting bombarded with emails, but everybody's doing it. So is there any like numbers that justify why companies are, risking the ick?
That's a good question, and I don't have numbers for that, but I would be happy to try to find out some more information about that and send it out afterwards if you'd like. Yeah, because I mean, they may say that the ROI value is better than the ick people.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, and to even further that, you asked the question more effectively than I did. The first time this happened was with a marketing firm.
Ah, nice.
So it was somebody that I was connected to, and I don't have a need to do business with them, but it was really more of I would say a mentorship, sort of learning conversation. And then a week later, I'm getting like SEO for healthcare, which is not what I do, you know? And so I was like,
You have to be careful about also the messaging, which is why I thought maybe you'd like to tag. So I have different clients who are in different industries, right? And the people that are in the construction industry and the people that are in healthcare are gonna be very different kinds of messaging sometimes. So when you get further along and you're larger, not at the beginning, don't get overwhelmed by this, you can, but if you tag them at the beginning, then you don't have to go back and try to figure it out. That's what, I feel like people don't set up their foundations and then they get farther and they're like, oh, now I wanna send, I'm like, but now it's hard because now you got 1,000 people on your list and you don't know if this person is, with a healthcare company or with a construction company, but you do want to cater some of that messaging for those different audiences so that it's relevant, right? When things aren't relevant, you opt out. It doesn't make any sense to you. Someone over here, yeah.
I was gonna kind of ask you a question. So as far as marketing tools go, these are all like technological, so like more of like a intangible, I guess. So when I think of marketing, I think of more of a tangible, like a piece of paper or like a mailer or something like that. Is that something that in this century is no longer in use and it's only just more digitalized and using devices versus more tangible items?
Depends on the industry, right? That's a great question. I don't know if you all heard, she was talking about like tangible physical items. It is a combination. So before with marketing, they would say you have to be seen 7 times before someone might choose to buy, right? With the digital world, it's something more like 22 times. Because there's just so much noise out there, there's so many things. Not everybody is going to be needing tangible things, right? But you do use those things in, and I throw away a lot of mailers, right? The one place I worked was a nonprofit, and we did find that our core donors were older because they had dispensable income. They might want to leave some of their foundation or money to a charity that they care about, and the mailers around Christmas time were a huge return, right? There are people that are still. We go to conferences. We do. Our clients go to conferences. So these kinds of things where you have the bullets, the backdrops and stuff, that's still a thing. And your sales team still goes around and talks to people, especially if you're a B2B business, right? And they're going to hand out something, right? Now, I don't always find that, like, if it's, I don't know, like I'm at a event downtown, like CMA's, and someone hands me a card for mashed potatoes or whatever from their booth, I'm probably going to throw that away. But if it has a coupon and it's a really good coupon, it might have some value to me, right? So people do have some of that, but digital is primarily the most important thing because they're going to go to your website or your social media and they're going to see who you are and make sure that you're like legitimate, right? And they're going to judge you on that. We don't have as many locations where we have stores anymore. Your website is your store. Okay, that's how they're going. They're not having a conversation with every one of your sales team, maybe, but they also want to go and see, hey, like, who else works with them? Who else trusts them? Who else, what kind of portfolio do they have? And like I said, that goes back to whatever kind of business you are, but your website and your social media and stuff they need to be in place before you even hand out stuff. But, you got a business card, and I still like the, card, people have digital business cards. I lose them in my phone. I never see them again, that kind of thing. So if I have them at the end of the day and someone hands me a business card, I might reach out and be like, hey, you want to grab a coffee? But if I put it in my phone, I don't know where it is.
So would you say that like something more tangible is more strategic versus something?
Depends. So I have another company so have you ever heard of it's like, I can't remember the words, but it's like I have a specific target people that I want to sell to because I have a niche audience, right? I'm going to go after this specific, like the one that I have for the railroads. They don't have, they can't sell it to everyone. They can only sell to people who are doing maintenance of way. So they have specific people that they go to. Their target, they say, I'm going to try to get these 10. If I get these 10 clients this year, that's it. That's all I'm trying to get is 10 clients. I go, okay, I'm going to try to see you at this conference. And I'm going to try to have a good friendly word with you. And then I'm going to send you, we made this one where you open it up and there's branding on every side and it's a box. And you open it, and I should have brought it, and it's got a video inside. That tells it check out our cool video. And, it might have a gift. It might have a Yeti with them to try to get them to open it. So that is direct, sales tactics that the marketing team will support if you have a business where you have a very niche audience. My healthcare audience has the same thing. They were working with ACOs, right? They're trying to get their attention. There's a lot of people out there. So then they'll mail them a nicer package with a little gift and why they should set up a meeting. So, yeah.
You earlier talked about meeting customers where they are.
Yeah.
So isn't that kind of the answer to what she's asking?
Yeah. It depends on your audience, right? You may have, that's why I'm saying if you are in person and you can hand them something, great. All right, the most exciting part, pick your channel. Pick your channel. So these are the ones that you probably want to, oops, why is it not showing up my little pictures? I have little pictures here. Each one of these was a different channel. So imagine we have social media, we have email marketing, we have your website, we have trade shows and conferences, we have partnerships, we have all of these things, and I don't know why they're not showing up, but you don't have to do, oh, you're gonna fix it for me? Oh, thank you. You don't have to do all of them at once, all right? You need to pick where your audience is, right? Where you think they're most likely going to be, and you are going to focus on that for now until you grow. I don't go and put stuff on Facebook. Now, I have my Facebook URLs. I started them all. My daughter wants to start this company and another company, and we don't have a product yet. We're working on it, but we know what the name is, and we grabbed the URL, we grabbed all the social media handles, all of that stuff. I have a social media handle for Facebook for iCandy. I don't post on it. I don't have people there. But I posted enough stuff on there so that if somebody comes to that Facebook to see, they'll see that I'm a legitimate company. I also have an Instagram. We did 9 blocks so that when they came together, they made this really beautiful picture, and each one talked about our services. I don't post on Instagram. My businesses are not hanging out looking at my stuff on Instagram, okay? That's okay if you can't get it. No worries. Oh, there you go. Okay. That'll work. You're fine. But I do want you to understand something very important. Your customer is also the internet, like the bots, okay? There are Google bots and Bing bots and all the different things that are AI scraping the internet to know about you. If you do not put consistent information across all of the platforms, they will not know about you. Or they'll be confused. And they won't dish you up in the search engines. And the reason being is they don't think that you are legitimate. They're confused. Are you with this company or are you that company? Do you believe in this? What services do you provide? You have to have consistent messaging. So regardless of whether or not you're posting on Facebook or whatever, as long as you have, I got the business name, I've got the picture up there, I've got my phone number, I've got, some information, a little description, and it all matches, then this is the next wave, y'all. This is how these servers dish you up. And that is part of SEO. That's okay. And when it comes to, if you are a local business, you're an ophthalmologist, you have an office, right? You need to make sure that everything across is consistent with your contact information, even down to your business name saying the exact same thing. Don't say something LLC on one and not say it on the other, because they're not smart. They're still computers that are trying to pull information and identify who you are. You need to have a business directory, and even stuff like, white pages. They have an online white pages thing, but if I list it in their business directory, if I list it on Yelp, if I put it on Google My Business Profile, then now I'm more likely to be found in local SEO. So that's why it's hard for me to give you guys a strategic blueprint, because a local person has a business like a storefront, they are going to have a different focus than someone who does not. Emails. If you don't have a big group of group of people who are following you yet or whatever, that's okay. You don't have to start sending the emails, and you don't have to send them out every month. And you don't have to, some people I just do I do emails for them, and I do them once a quarter, right? I do a quarterly newsletter, and if you want to try to have content that works for them, that's better, that gives them a reason to want to read that thing, okay? Later on, you can do the more complicated email stuff. I also have paid ads on here. I'm sorry, I don't get to you. We have paid stuff, okay? Paid stuff is expensive. It's not cheap. So if you want to get into paid, make sure all of your stuff is good first. I have people that come to me for paid, and I'm like, you don't even have a call to action on your homepage. How are they going to be able to purchase? Why are you going to spend a bunch of money if as soon as they hit your website, they bounce? It's called the bounce rate, right? They don't look past the first top part of the website. And most people don't have the attention span anymore. It's just the reality. You have to capture them right away. So if you don't have a good website, don't start doing paid, okay? Because that is a lot of money to be sending them to a crap website. And you have to be careful about some of these magazines and things for your professional stuff. They'll tell you all kinds of, ROI, and you need to ask the right questions, because I've paid money for those things before and they didn't really get any kind of conversions or anything. And some of it was because people's assets weren't good. They didn't take time to do the design. And one of them said, they got to my website and they didn't think I was a legitimate thing. They didn't think I was very professional. I looked like some overseas thing, so you have to be very careful about your steps. I wouldn't do paid until you have all of that stuff done. All right. You also need to make sure that you're measuring. Measuring doesn't have to be hard, okay? Y'all, this is my performance on my LinkedIn account, all right? This is just showing like over time how many impressions I had last year. Did I make an improvement? When did I make improvements? It looks like I really got some traction in these little spots here. This right here, I keep forgetting that I have this thing. All right, this is just saying like you have to invite people to your LinkedIn pages. If you don't invite people to a party, do they know where to come? Do they know to show up? No. On my LinkedIn pages, you get like 250 invites every single month, and I have a bunch of people who I follow because I've been networking for a really long time, but iCandy doesn't. So I go on iCandy's page and I invite everybody that I know. Everybody needs marketing. So now I'm up to over 800 people. My goal is now to get up to 1,000 people following me. And it doesn't matter if they really care about my products or they need marketing right now. They may one day. But it also matters to the person that I'm selling to, goes to my page and says, hey, they've got 1,000 people following them on iCandy. How are we doing with time? Okay. They got 1,000 people. So it's showing that you are legitimate is kind of this perception that you're building. And then this is just showing you like, well, goodness, last year, my top post was about losing. It was about losing a bid. And it was about my authentic moment where I was like, oh, I looked up at this picture on my wall and I remembered it was like this is actually like a roller coaster and it had been ruined by a hurricane in New Jersey. And so it was like under the water. And at the top of it, they have people like dancing a silhouette. And it always reminds me that like life is full of ups and downs, right? And it just resonated with people, right? Like, and I had a lot of impressions for that. So you don't have to make it perfect. You just have to show up and invite people, okay? And here's Google Analytics. Google Analytics is free. It's really easy. You just get on there, make sure your code is on your website. That's also easy. If you have a WordPress website, it's called SiteKit. It does it for you. Just push buttons. It'll tell you what to do. And you need to make sure, even if you don't have a lot of people coming to your website right now, put it on there because you need a baseline. And once you start doing marketing, you want to see what's working. When do you think I started a campaign here? This was a paid campaign that I started right there.
Christmas.
Right there. I started right before Christmas. This is a new client. It's called Potluck. Potluck does it's like basically an invitation service, kind of like Evite, but it's like, but everyone can sign up for whatever you want on their Potluck. And I started a PPC campaign right here, and that's where it blew up. All right. The problem is, right here, it blew up in direct. It should have been blowing up down here in paid search, but this is the same client. You can see where your audiences are coming from. So if you think you're getting to your audience, maybe you're not, because you're posting on organic social and that's not really helping you, or you're not sending out direct mailers or whatever that is. So you can figure out how people are getting to you, and then from that you can then learn more as you dive deeper into analytics. But this is baseline. It can be easy. All right, so this I'm not going to go through everything. This is where you're going to scan it at the end, okay? Because your roadmap for marketing is different based off where you are. Oh, yes.
So the previous slide, so is this, like I said, I don't really have a marketing sales background,
Yeah.
But is this like specific customers that you already have that are like analyzing your information, or is this just with people that have your access to some of your information?
So Google has a tool called GA4, Google Analytics, and you install the code on your website, and then it tracks how many people come to your website from various sources. It tracks what time of day they come. It tracks whether or not they're male or female or unknown. It tracks what country they're from, what state you're getting the most. And then based off that information, and this is the reason why even if you're not doing paid yet, based off that information, you can decide later where to spend your money. If you're starting to get a lot of traction in Texas, you better put your ads in Texas and not in Ohio or wherever you're not getting traction in. Does that make sense? So it tags, it's kind of like a Google tag tracker thing. It doesn't tell you who it is. It doesn't say, oh, it's Dennis, you know, and he was on at this time. You can also put on stuff, it doesn't tell you that there are some things that are protected. You can do that in other ways, but that's higher level. But you can also put in something called Microsoft Clarity, which is free also. Microsoft Clarity installs, and it'll show heat maps. And it'll show, oh, here's a person, we don't know who it is. They came on, they went here, they bounced. You can see which pages they're most interested in looking at. So, oh, this blog post really did a really good job. What is a potluck? Their blog post, that is their blog post that gets so many that traction. So I told them, I was like, great, you need to write more on this keyword, and we strategically decide what kinds of blog posts they write based off of what people are searching on the internet. Like there's a search volume.
And then you can tie that to revenue that's actually generated, or is this just even information?
So it depends, because yes, this one is a paid search campaign, and this is Google Analytics, but on Google Ads, I can actually see, okay, on this particular week, we spent $700 and then I have a conversion set up. So this many people signed up and this many people actually decided to pay for the service. So I can show how much money we're making based off of the ads that we're running. And then we can, but I can do the same thing as like, if I do an email campaign, I can see how many people actually went to my website and things like that. Any other questions about that? I know that's a lot. That's why I try to not go too deep into all of the things. Okay, so getting started. If you are just getting started, your goal is to do these things. Messaging, clarity, making sure that everything is basic, landing page, one clear call to action, don't make it complicated, have a form on your site to collect information, try to have it nice so that people like know what you do and what your problem you're solving. And if you are doing something to investors, they're gonna wanna see that you have something up. They wanna see that you're legitimate. Number 2, gaining traction, okay? This is where you're gonna start posting on 1 or 2 channels. Maybe you're posting on LinkedIn if you're doing businesses. You're gonna try to start collecting some testimonials, some pictures. You're gonna start capturing some people's information, inviting them to the party, that kind of thing. Then you're gonna continue to improve your website. So now maybe you have a blog. Blogs are to help SEO, but they're also helpful if you like have a post and you don't know what to post about. You're like, hey, check out our latest blog, and you send them to the website, and then you have a call to action in the corner and they can find it. All right, then this is like the higher level stuff that I was talking about. You're gonna have the email marketing stuff. You might have different paths for them to go. You're gonna try to convert like, oh, they bounce after they click here, and maybe I need to optimize my page, or I need to put a video at the top, or I need an explainer video, or a how-to. Those are gonna be on stage 3, so. All right, again, not gonna read all of this. This is gonna be sent to you if you choose to, and there's a whole worksheet to figure out which one you are. Depending on what you are is what you're gonna be doing, all right? I talked about a little bit about, where's my thing? Local businesses, how you have to make sure you have a Google business profile, you have all of your things, ratings. Ratings are important, so ask people for ratings if you have a Google business profile. And there's an algorithm for that, so like, you don't want all your ratings at once, but if they trickle in over time, it makes you look higher, makes you rank higher. It's so crazy. It's like a video game, I think. If you are like, okay, so product-based business, you gotta have your product pages, like what are your specs? You know, like if you have beer, you might wanna say how many calories it has. You might wanna say, what are the tasting notes, you know? What's the alcohol per volume stuff? That goes for anything like that. You want to have reviews and social proof, people saying, oh, I really like that candied bacon, it's real good, especially if you dip it into, you know, a big, what are those, a drink in the morning with the, I can't think of it, Bloody Mary. I bet it'd be great in a Bloody Mary. I don't drink Bloody Marys.
They are good Bloody Marys.
So you have to figure out which ones of these you are, and then focus on the things that we're talking about here. Again, I'm not going to go through them all. you can go and look at them afterwards. All right. Success. That was a lot. How do I take in all this and say, gosh, Amy, you told me when I came here, I thought it was going to be an easy roadmap, and then you gave me all this stuff, and that was a lot of information. So, the number one thing I see from founders is they overthink everything. Just show up. My presentation wasn't perfect today. I stumbled a couple times. I got nervous, okay? But that's also, I showed up, and I did the thing. And I put it together in a week because I had an opportunity to do it, right? So don't overthink it. Just do something, all right? Also, don't get overwhelmed by doing everything at once. Do the thing. Put it on your calendar. Make it a priority. You made a product. You made a company. You did all this stuff. If you don't do anything to get people to know who you are, if they don't know why they need you, if they aren't invited to the party, what's the point? No one's going to come. All right? That is important to put in some energy, your energy, into marketing. Collect data. We talked about that. Invite people in. And make sure that you're talking to whoever's on the ground with their sales and marketing, and ask questions of your customers. Hey, what's holding you back today from hiring a marketing agency?
Scale of my business.
The scale of your business. How so? It's just small. You don't think you probably need a marketing thing? Yeah, okay, that makes sense. So then I take what he's saying and I say, you know what? I could probably help you out. What if I, do you have a budget over, the next year? Maybe you need a decent website to tell your story. What are your pain points right now?
I'm building the website.
You're building the website. Great. Okay, cool. Do you have any other assets that you're building? Maybe I can give you, break it out over the next year so it's digestible. It doesn't cost you as much, because I do that for people who have startups, So it's not like, oh, I have to pay all this money. And maybe it's a lot cheaper than what you think, right? So I figure out what he thinks, why he doesn't want to buy my service, and then I answer it, not just to him, but to my website, to my social media, to my blogs, to all the things, so that the next person who comes along and has that problem, I can explain. Yes?
Do you have one of the slides you showed, sort of like the first stage, second stage, third stage of that? But when you think about a business, and I'm sure there's variability across industry,
Sure.
Is there a recommendation on you're starting out, how much time should you invest in marketing from either your personal or sort of just the amount of things that you should do? How much time do you think a solopreneur or a new company needs to spend in marketing?
Probably whatever more looks like to you. I mean, honestly, I see Izzy do a really good job on LinkedIn. She posts, I don't know, every day almost. You don't have to post every day, but she gets followers, and then it actually, my LinkedIn is connected to my phone, so she comments on something or something, it helps her algorithm, and then I see her. And it's not that I need her product right now, but one day I might meet an investor or someone who I'm like, I got the perfect person for you, right? And I can make that referral because I'm top of mind. I'm not necessarily her audience. Right now her audience is investors because she has to create a prototype, right? But I'm around here and there are people that invest in this kind of thing, right? So you just have to back to your question, it's just put something on the schedule and say, I'm gonna show you one in just a minute. Here's an example, okay? If you've done this, you don't have to do this, but I would run it by some people and make sure that it resonates with them and that what you're saying actually means the same thing. Because when I say the word collaborate, it might mean something different to you and you and you and you and you. And I need to make sure that I'm speaking to the audience because I'm deep in. This is my company, it's my baby. I've been doing it for a long time. I know everything about my company. You don't. So if I talk in such a high level, like I might be doing now, then you're not gonna know what's going on. So I have to run it by somebody else. So make sure that your brand refresh or your whatever you're doing, create your timeline for the year. Decide what you're gonna do each month. Then you're gonna do a website rebuild maybe. Maybe take that messaging and work on making sure that your funnel's working better. You're gonna build portfolio items to show testimonials, what's working, what's not working. You might start by making sure you have all your social platforms across, everything looks cohesive and the same. If I go to one and I go to another, I know it's the same company. I'm gonna plan out. I plan out social calendars. Okay, for the next 3 months, we're gonna have these kind of pillars, and it's gonna be this type. I don't have time to do so much. So I'm gonna just do one a week. All right, and one a week is gonna look like something about one of my clients, like we launched this website, and here's the problem we solved. One of them is gonna be about a speaking engagement that I did at the Entrepreneur Center. One is and I do different ones depending if I am doing it from me, Amy, and whether I do it from iCandy. I do both. If you see me, I went to the Nashville Entrepreneur Center thing. I liked it. Switched who I was. I liked it again. I made a comment from Amy. I made a comment from iCandy. Okay, they're two different things, but and I did two different tones. Yeah.
Amy, you asked a question, one of the gentlemen up front, that why didn't you hire a marketing company? I will tell you the reason that I have lots of physician friends. We have meetings all the time among the doctors. And that's one of the most important and frequent asked questions among doctors. Many of us don't have or hire marketing companies. And why? It's because the type of marketing companies that we all need as physicians don't exist. What we call ultimate marketing company, if you will, or blackbox.com. Meaning, each of us, like for me, I've gone to school for, guess what, 31 years, believe it or not, to study this stuff, surgeries. And it's not best use of my time to learn all this increasingly complex marketing technology. So, you know what to do. A CEO of a company, when they let us know about the nature of this investment, they don't invest. They don't allocate budget next year for marketing because they understand less and less and less all these complex nuances in marketing.
Yeah.
So my question is, why is an ultimate marketing company or blackbox.com, meaning paid by the result, not by the useless click rate or impressions, but by actual patients showing up? Because I don't operate on click rates or impressions, I operate on patients. Why don't such marketing company that actually paid back end exist today?
That's a good question, because I think a lot of it's hard to be tied. I mean, you're saying, oh, I would get more patients, and more patients would equal more stuff. But there's so many different things that you're doing in order to get those people in the door, and then ultimately it's up to you to build the trust, right, with that person. I might get them there, but maybe they don't stay. Maybe I'm trying to tell them. Well, and I have to pay my people, so I can't bank on whether or not I would be able to get you 5 patients in the next year or something with that working. But you could probably talk to a small agency and see if you can come up with a deal like that. I mean, I have a deal with Versator. If we get a certain amount of money, then I get a cut of that, right? Because she can't afford to finish building her platform because she's self-funded, and I can't afford to keep doing the work. So I'm doing it myself with my business partner, but I'm not hiring other people to do that work because I would have to pay them. So her success is also based on my success, but I had to build a relationship with her because not all businesses I want to go into business with. I know Debbie's a hard worker. I know she kicks butt, and I believe in her product. So I'm taking the leap to do that. I also have done it where I'm like, okay, you need a website and you need a marketing plan. I will finance you for free over the next 2 years because they can't pay for it all up front. Yeah.
Do you know, can you refer maybe 5 marketing firms that specifically market or do market ads and market strategies for the medical industry?
Yeah. I mean, we do marketing plans for the medical industry. Yeah. And sometimes I would say marketing teams are all different. So you're going to get anyone from, I call it the freelancer who's the coffee shop marketer, right? And they may not be able to, they may be able to know a little bit about some of the different things, but they can't be an expert in everything, right? You can't be a developer and a designer and expert at social media and an expert at copywriting content. That's why you would maybe hire an agency. Then you have a smaller agency who might have all those people on the team, but they're not maybe handling really huge accounts where, I don't know, they're doing 12 conferences a year and there's a lot of logistical stuff that goes along with that. then you have those bigger agencies who might work with the Nissans who are doing those kinds of things. So they're all different.
Sorry, to follow up question. My main question is, I'm knowing less and less about marketing. And it's just like, if you need eye surgery, it's not going to be helpful to you for me to teach you about this little laser technique. It's just you pay by the result. Pay it, get the
Where's your
result.
testimonials?
So my question is, you don't need to know the detailed mechanism, what laser to use. It may take care of my eyes. So why can't a marketing company exist? Because when I look at this, I say, my heart is in my patients right now. Listen to all these techniques. I say, because someone's learned all that, and they said, I should pay and buy the result. And I will do whatever.
Yeah.
I'll take good care of my patients.
Yeah.
But in terms of all these, because more complex marketing company technologies developing today with AI, everything, more distance. The complexity of this technology from average business owner, and the less and less they feel confident or less and less involved. You cannot involve by allocating fund as CEO of a company when you know less and less about that investment, which is marketing for the company.
What I would say to you is go back to my initial slides. You need to work on the messaging that you're giving people, and you need to work on your testimonials, and you need to do the same thing. You need to show, here's my client, she had this problem, not necessarily the machine that you use or the technique you use to fix her problem, and here's what her vision was before, and here's what her vision is now, and here's what it's a case study. And that way, people that come to your thing will be able to see, oh, this person, it was successful, I have the same problem, maybe he can help me. That's what I would say to you. You don't need to do all the complex marketing strategies. You need to make sure that you're differentiating yourself from all the other ophthalmologists out there. You have the only unique thing, you told me this, that's for people over the age of 40 who are starting to, my vision. Did you ask me why I didn't accept that? Because I don't want to be the first. Am I going to be the first? You're the only person in this country? How many people have done this before? You got to prove to me that that eye surgery is not going to screw up my eyes, right? And that I'm going to be better after it, not worse. And I need to know some studies about longevity, so that in 10 years, it's not going to be worse than it is today. So you have to ask those questions because I'm the customer and I'm telling you, I wouldn't trust it because you haven't shown me other people who have been successful. Yeah.
I think from a business owner perspective, I think I would struggle with his accolades if he has 30 years of experience and 30 years of education. How does he allocate time and appreciation for something that he never even appreciated from the beginning? And then how do you prove that it adds value to his bottom line? Is what I would struggle with.
How do the marketing agents show value to his bottom line?
Yes.
The data that we collect, like how many people are coming to the website and going through the funnel and filling out the form.
I mean, just because someone goes to the website doesn't mean that revenue is actually
True, but if you get 10 people that go to the website and you get one person to fill out the form, if you get 100 people that go to the website, you probably will get 10 people to fill out the form. Now, after that, it's not really up to me. It's up to the person who's filled out the form, who got on the other end, who calls that person and says, hey, Miss Good, nice to, I'm so happy, what brought you here today? What's your problems? That's the sales part at that point. But my conversion is who's filling out the form. How many people did I get to fill out the form? How many people did I get to the website to then be the top of the funnel to then fill out the form to finally get a sale? Yeah.
We do, like my partners and I have a meeting monthly with our marketing agency, so they are showing us exactly what they're doing and the value of what we're paying them to do. So it is something you have to like put on your calendar to do, but that's how we keep track.
And I will say, y'all, marketing is a long game. It's not a one and done, all of a sudden I'm gonna get, like those people are very rare if you get like an influencer and a big bump in the thing. You have to continue to be consistent over time and build it. You're not gonna start here. You gotta start by continuing to do it and adding on more because any place starts with, even if you have a McDonald's, it started with one McDonald's, right? It didn't start with huge franchise. You can't just expect like all of a sudden for you to get stuff. And I think that's what you have to like have different expectations too for your marketing. You have to put in the effort over time. Remember, they have to see you 22 times. They have to continue to have the same experience. If I'm going in and I'm drinking a beer, I want to have a community experience. And if I have a really good community experience one time and the next time I come and it's just like, it's not fun, the music sucks, it's all dreary, or I feel like I'm in a elevator or something music, I'm going to be like, this is not that fun. And so I need to have consistency. All right, I think we are getting close to the end here. All right. So, whoops. My QR code, come on. That's the most important part, just, not make it into the presentation thing. So, I know it was a lot, and I know it's confusing, and I know that it's not easy because every single one of your businesses is completely different. If I'm going to have a studio recording thing, right, with Don, it's going to be very different than me needing a CPA or a consultant or whatever. And you've got to figure out who you are and where you're going and what your messaging is. So if you want to get the presentation with all the stuff, you want to get a little marketing focus worksheet to kind of get you going. But if you also want to if you're a member here and you just want to meet with me, I'm happy to talk to you about maybe some places of where you can start or where you're getting in your own way. Because I feel like a lot of founders, we get in our own way. We have ideas about what it should be or why it can't be this or that kind of thing, and then that hinders us from actually making progress. So hopefully that was helpful today, and I appreciate y'all coming out.
And I take full blame for the slides. That PowerPoint to Google Slides is always a mess. Never gets the formatting right exactly. Does everyone have this QR code though? All good?
Is there any other way, because I don't usually use that, is there any other way you can access this PowerPoint?
I can send you an email with it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, Nate?
And on your link, it's, you can't tell where you put your name or email, does it say?
Does it?